Hi, today we'll be learning how to balance chemical equations that is not the burning of hydrocarbons. And for such types of chemical equation, there is no hard and fast rule on how to balance it. You can only do it through trial and error and by using your experience to help you. Hence, it is beneficial if you practice more, then you will get the hang of it. Okay, so to start things off, let me show you how I will balance these two equations as shown on the screen. Okay, if you take a look here, on the left hand side you have H2SO4, on the right hand side you have a H2S. Hence, you will realize that this and this and this and this are taken care of. Now, what is missing here is the oxygen 4. We need to have 4 oxygen on the right hand side, and currently we only have 1. And we know that in balancing of chemical equation, we can only add coefficient to the equation. Hence, to make our oxygen have 4 atoms, we will put a coefficient of 4 in front of water. And this would settle my number of oxygen. But after settling my number of oxygen on the left hand side, which is 4 and 4 on the right, we must take note that this coefficient will affect the number of hydrogen. And now I actually have 8 hydrogen that has not been accounted for on the left hand side. And luckily, we still have a HI here, and we only have 1 H here. To make this 1 H become 8 H, we have to add a coefficient of 8 here. Doing so will allow me to balance my hydrogen atoms. And of course, we must take into account the iodine, which has 8 atoms. So 8 atoms of iodine, and right now I have 2 atoms on the right hand side. To make it balance, I will add a coefficient of 4, and this will make the number of iodine atoms on both sides balanced, and I will have my balanced equation for this. Okay, moving on to the next example. For this example, it might look a bit more complicated, but the balancing principle is the same. You start off with one element type and you stick to it and you try to balance it, and then you move on to another element. So no matter which element you start off with, please make sure you tackle it in a systematic and organized way. So for me, I will take a look at nitrogen. Okay, if you take a look, nitrogen, here I have 1 nitrogen. Here I have 2 nitrogen plus 1 nitrogen from here. So I actually have 3 nitrogen. So I might be tempted to put a 3 here, right? But I must remember, even if I put a 3, I might balance the number of nitrogen. But my hydrogen, I will be having an odd number hydrogen. 3 hydrogen. This is an odd number hydrogen. But on my right hand side, the hydrogen that I have is in the form of water, which is H2O. It is an even number of hydrogen atoms. Hence, it might be more reasonable to use 4 as the coefficient. So let me change it to 4. What will happen if I put a 4 here? Putting a 4 here would mean that my hydrogen will have 4 and my nitrogen will have 4. So to balance my hydrogen, I will put a coefficient of 2 in front of my water, and I will have 4 hydrogen here. And in this case, I would have balanced my hydrogen, which is good. But of course, we must take care of our nitrogen. 4 nitrogen on the left hand side and 2N plus 1N on the right hand side. So it makes sense if we add a coefficient of 2 to our nitrogen here. And then we would have 4 nitrogen. And we would have balanced our nitrogen. So hydrogen, nitrogen balanced. So now let's check our oxygen atoms. Now oxygen atoms, 4 times 3, I have 12 oxygen on my left hand side. And here I have 3 times 2, which is 6 oxygen here. And I have 2 times 2, which is 4 oxygen here. And 2 times 1, which is 2 oxygen here. So total, I also have 12 oxygen on my right hand side. So oxygen is balanced as well. Good. And last but not least, let's take a look at copper. I have 1 on my left and 1 on my right. It is balanced. Hence, overall, this is the balanced chemical equation. It might look complicated, but if you follow through my explanation carefully, you would be able to get it. And of course, please practice more and you will get better at it. okay? No one is perfect and no one is a genius. You need to practice before you get better at something. So always give your best and never ever give up. Any questions? Please look for me, or you can ask your friends during school time. Thank you.